What's going on YouTube? So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how the STI did on the dyno. Now as you can see, it is here now. It's been driving and idling fine. Now when I got the car, it didn't idle so great, but it wasn't terrible at first. The idle was pretty bad. It had a hard time, balancing out and figuring out where it needed to stay at. And at times I would get like a really bad idle surge where it would almost turn off, but then it would catch itself. And over, I'd say about 2 weeks, it got worse and worse. So the first time I noticed it, we were going out, I believe to a meet, and I met up with one of my friends on the highway, race supposedly, second or third pull. And under boost it felt great, but once I let off, I was kind of about to miss my exit. So I let off, merged, and I threw it in neutral. And I look down as I'm exiting and I see my check engine light, my oil light, the whole Christmas tree. And I was like, damn, I really just blew it up that fast. But I noticed that the car had actually just turned off. So it took a couple cranks and I was able to turn it back on, idled rough. But it drove fine the rest of the way home. I believe it was like a 30-minute drive. Now, the second time, we were going out to another car meet, and before I even left the house, I was struggling to get it to turn on, and then when it finally turned on, it kind of struggled to stay on. And eventually, for me gassing it, the idles, I guess the RPM sort of balanced out. And on the way there, I just noticed that the idle was even worse. When I was parking, backing up into my spot, it actually died. And I don't think it was because of me, with the clutch. I think the RPMs just dipped too low and it turned off. And when we left the car meet, we were going to a restaurant. I was at the light about to make a U-turn and it just stalled out. Cranked it back on, gave it some gas. It drove kind of fine. And then on the way there, I raced one of my buddies, and under boost, it felt great. But once again, as soon as I let off, it died. So I literally just coasted all the way to the light and turned it back on. And literally the whole way from there to the restaurant, I literally had to keep gassing it or else it would turn off. So parked, ate, and then when we left the restaurant, when I was trying to turn it on, it struggled. I think it took a lot of tries to finally get it to crank. And then once it cranked, if I didn't have my foot on the gas, it would die. So I kept, gassing. I didn't want to stop. When I'm at the light, I'm immediately in neutral, putting gas on it. Yeah, that was pretty much it. So it was pretty messed up. I didn't really, want to spend time trying to figure it out, because for the dyno, I did pay for the pre-dyno inspection. So I was just going to let them figure it out. So now fast forward, when I dropped it off, I did tell them to fix a couple other things that weren't really related to the engine. First thing they did was a compression test. My compression numbers came back great, so thank God. They did a leak down test, vacuum test. They came back figuring out that my wastegate was shot. They literally sent me a video. The whole thing was just wobbly, so that was a massive boost leak. So I was thinking maybe that's it. That's why it was dying. They started putting it all back together. And they re-welded the bracket that holds my up pipe. It had snapped, and I did have a replacement, but I totally spaced out and I didn't give it to them. So, and I wasn't about to drive all the way up there. It's like an hour away. So I told them just weld it up. So they put it all together, started it, still idled like crap. Changed the spark plugs, didn't do much of a difference. Checked the coil packs, it wasn't it. And then they narrowed it down to the injectors. So they took all the injectors out, put them in the cleaning machine, tried to test them. Injector 1 was just leaking like crazy. 2, 3, and 4, they were spraying, but none of them were spraying, consistently. Maybe I could have cleaned them, but no matter what, they would have to get rebuilt because injector 1 was leaking. And the injectors that were in the car were ID 2000s, and they don't make ID 2000s anymore. So I think the next step up is 23 and 26 or something like that, and those are way too big. And I didn't want to ship them out to get fixed because sometimes they can't fix them, and 2, I have no idea how long that takes or how much they charge, if it's even worth it. So I actually just stepped down to ID 1700s And I mean, you know, the worst case, we just have to up the duty cycle. So I waited till they delivered those, and then one morning, you know, the tuner called me and he said, hey, we got them in. We slapped them in the car in the morning and it's idling fine. We're strapping it to the dyno. Go ahead and come on in. And I was like, crap. You know, it's like 100 degrees out here. It's not the greatest weather for tuning, but what the hell. So I guess I'll show you guys the clips of me at the tuner. It's like 100 degrees out here. We had to stop, ran into another issue. So the secondary fuel pump started going out. So they're switching that one out right now. Going for the test drive. All right, so as you can see, we only put it up to 30 pounds and we got 711 to the wheels. Not bad if you ask me, especially in the weather. We took it off, I took it for a test drive, see how it drove. We did run into an issue where he was showing me in the AEM manager. He put the RPM limit to 10K. He even took out the two-step in case that was messing with it. And on every chart, he put the RPM limit at 10K, and for some reason, around 7 to 8K, I would hit limiter on the dyno and on the street. He was trying to figure out what that was. He wanted to get the car back on the rollers and try to figure that out, and I guess turn up the boost some more. But it was like 7 o'clock at night, so we just came to an agreement that I would come back, you know, during the winter when it's not hot as hell, you know, when it makes sense, when the weather makes sense, and we'll turn it up maybe, you know, 5 to 8 more PSI, and hopefully fix that RPM limiter and see what it really does. But until then, I mean, it's not really a big issue. There's no reason for me to need it to go faster at this very moment. I don't even need it this fast right now, to be honest. So we both agreed that made the most sense. So hopefully by the time we go back, the car is finished or being close to finished, but I don't know, you know, I still gotta wait for the body kit and all types of stuff. So, but I don't want to start taking apart, you know, the engine and refreshing things and doing everything that I was gonna do, because I want all my attention to go to dismantling the Hawkeye so I can get it ready for the STI swap. And we do have a 2-post lift on the way, finally. I'm so excited. So I'm trying to get as much stuff out of the way as I can just to get ready for when we install it. And one of the things that's taking up space is the Cusco roll cage for this car. So I guess I'll see you guys on the next video when we install the Cusco roll cage. Thanks for watching.